let's talk about two of the biggest reasons your book is not making as much money as you want it to make. And this will probably hurt just a little bit, but I'm going to hold your hand through this process. And if you can get past the hurt and make a couple of changes, you can be profitable with your books, because I want you to be able to make a living off of your stories. I don't want you to have to walk away from this. So I'm going to give it to you straight. And as long as you stick with me, we can make some changes and we can make it a little more profitable for you, or a lot more profitable for you. So the first thing that trips up a lot of authors, unfortunately, is your book cover. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to break it to you, but really, it is the first thing that people are going to see. It's judging a book by its cover, and people truly do that. They have to see those visuals and say, oh, this looks like a high-end product. This looks like something that was professionally created. This looks like something that's going to be a good story. If they see something that's poorly photoshopped, that doesn't meet genre expectations, that doesn't look good, that looks homemade, they're going to walk away. Most people, not all people, but even if you have exceptional marketing and you put lots of quotes out and people know the tropes and there's good word of mouth, if it looks like a bad cover, they're really going to ding it in their mind. It is going to get suppressed and pushed down. So you have to have a professional cover, and covers are not all created equal. You cannot expect to pay $30 for a cover, $60 for a cover, and have something that's going to be profitable for you. You do have to invest a little bit of time and money into your cover creation, and you have to understand genre expectations. I've had a number of authors come to me in the last month asking me to market their book, or asking for help with their book, asking why their book is not selling, and it all comes back to the cover. The covers are simply not good. So you cannot go to somewhere like Fiverr and just hire a cheap person to create you a book cover if they've never done it before. If you don't have a graphic designer who's been doing this for a decade, 2 decades, who understands the genre expectations and the trope expectations and can put those into a really well-designed cover, you're going to suffer for that. Even if you see somebody who's done other covers, you've got to really investigate. Once upon a time, I had an author friend of mine who showed me her book cover. And the very first thing that I saw in her fantasy elf book cover was that the designer had left a vinyl banner in the background in the woods. It was just like a very modern vinyl. They just didn't Photoshop it out. It would have been 2 little swipes with 1 tool in Photoshop, but they didn't notice it and they didn't fix it. So she printed her books with her beautiful cover model with this weird vinyl background that was supposed to be like an enchanted forest. And unfortunately, she had already gone to production and she actively chose not to do anything about it. So to this day, there's this weird vinyl banner in the background of her cover. And it does get noticed. So you want to make sure, even with somebody that like looks okay, that you really do your deep dive into who they are, how they work, and how their covers are selling before you work with those people. And it does mean you're going to maybe have to save up a little bit. If you don't have the money for a cover, save up. Take that time to write the next book in the series, the next book you're going to be putting out, and do a rapid release. I would rather you have a really strong cover that will help make sales and you push it off and do some kind of rapid release situation than to put out a subpar product that will then always and forever be associated with you and your quality of writing, because your cover does, in people's minds, dictate what the writing must be like on the inside. If it's a poorly designed cover that's clearly got like weird photoshopping in it, like something cut out that's not even blended into the background, they're going to judge you for it. Even though your designer wasn't great, they're going to judge your writing by that cover. So you have to have a good, strong cover that meets industry standards and genre expectations. So if you are in a genre, you're not going to hire somebody in like a fantasy genre to write or to design your thriller cover unless they have a lot of experience doing that as well. You got to make sure you have specific people and you got to save up for it. Anything that comes with publishing does require you to put some money into it to have that higher level, your editing, your formatting, your cover design, all those things. So yeah, it does cost you money. You can't just magically put things out there for free or for very little money, but then you earn it back. Or you don't spend the money on it and you won't earn that money back. It's just one of those correlated things. And every once in a while, you'll be able to make a sale, even if you have a really bad cover, but it's going to dramatically hurt your career if you do not have a decent genre-specific cover that meets industry standards. So if you are cover searching you are more than welcome to ask me if somebody is going to have the skills and technical awareness to create your cover before you hire them. Yes, I am a professional cover designer. You do not have to work with me. I very rarely do covers these days. I do some. And you could potentially ask me, but for the most part, I don't do too many of them these days, just really cool projects. And I'm more than happy to help look at someone else's portfolio and say, yeah, they're good technically, or maybe let's look somewhere else. But I'm never going to ask you to come work with me. You are welcome to get my opinion on this, and that is it. Now, the second area is one that you're going to expect, and that's your marketing. Sorry, babies, you have to do marketing. This is not the 90s where you can get a publisher and they, by their sheer existence, get you book sales. We are now in an era where you have to do your marketing. You have to be present on social media, and you can't just do the same old trends that everybody else is doing. Remember, when it comes to marketing, you can't do copyrighted material, and so many authors do. You can't use movies. You can't use copyrighted music. You can only use the free music library on social media for anything, period, across the board. There's so many things that authors are doing to market that you can't legally do and can be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines per infraction. So please don't do that kind of thing. I teach you all about it here and on my main channel. So make sure you're checking those out if you want to keep yourself safe and protected. My lawyer's on this channel too with tons of advice in the playlist, so you can check those out. But you have to be able to market. You got to be out there marketing. You got to be out there marketing frequently. You cannot just hide behind your computer screen and hope and pray that your book is going to sell. If you're not out there doing marketing, you will not get the views. You're competing with hundreds of thousands of authors for people's attention. And people can only read so many books per month. So if there's a popular one, or if there's 17,000 popular ones on Book Talk and you're not one of them, you're not going to get the sales. You're not going to get the reads. You have to be actively involved. And it doesn't mean you have to be everywhere all the time. You can really go down the rabbit hole on one of those platforms if you want, but you have to make sure that you are out there marketing, because if you're not going to be making those sales. And that may mean that if you're not going to be active on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and all those places all the time, that might mean that you then have to spend money running ads. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads. You can run ads inside of Amazon. You can run ads in some of the other book distributors, but you will have to pay for it. So marketing comes down to either your time and effort or your money. And the smart people do both, but either one or the other. So if you do not have money to pay for ads, you need to put the time and effort into it. If you do not have the time and effort or desire to be on social media, you have to pay to run ads, because you're competing with hundreds of thousands of other books. And nobody's going to magically find you. You have to do the work, put the effort in, or put the money in. And if you can do both, or if you're really good at one or the other, that can sustain you. That can do really, really well. I know so many authors who are making 6 and 7 figures a year on their book sales because they're investing time and effort and or money into getting their book and their content in front of other people. But this is not a day and age where you can just hope and pray that everything is going to be fine, because it will not be. You have to be top of mind. And I'll be very, very clear. I have been testing things out for you for years to see how things are going. When I'm very present on social media, I am making tons of money. And when I'm not so present on social media, because I had already put that time and effort in and I hit the bestsellers list, I've been on lists for years and years and years. So I still get residual things. But when I'm not marketing, you see a drastic dip in sales, even though I'm TikTok famous, even though I'm doing really well on YouTube, even though I work directly with the social platforms as some of their top creators. They called me that, not me. I still have to be active, present, and showing my content, my books, my things in front of people, or I see dramatic dips in the money that I'm going to be making. So you have to do something. You gotta be present on social media, or you gotta pay to play. And either way, you can build up what you're doing and you can make money and you can do really well, but you have to learn how to do it, and you can't sit there and grumble about it, because if you do, you're simply not going to make the money. And that's all there is to it. If you're not doing one of those things, maybe don't be in this industry, because if you cannot put that time and work and effort into it, you're not going to make that money back. And at that point, it's a hobby. And if it's a hobby, that's fine and that's great, and there's no problem with it being a hobby, but don't rely on it as a business, as a source of income, if you're not going to treat it like a job and actually put the work and time and effort into it. And I know people want to use the covers that they want to use or save the money that they don't want to spend on covers, and people don't want to be on social. I know it's hard for authors to be on social media. I am one of the unicorns that loves it, but more and more authors are getting really comfortable with social media. So now you're competing with even more people to get seen. You're not competing with other people who don't like to be on social. We all like being on social now. We're all having fun. A lot more people are coming up into this industry than new people. They're taking over social media, and you can't get left behind. There's a lot that goes into this, but if you take the time and effort, put the money in, and you do this the right way, you are much more likely to make the sales, much more likely to be profitable, and much more likely to be sustainable in your author career. Drop your questions down below and follow along for more tips and tricks from a multi-time best-selling author and some really cool things coming to the channel in the not too distant future. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.